A lot of people get involved in get rich quick schemes,
Yes.
crypto coins, meme coins, all this stuff.
Daniel Kahneman, the great psychologist, passed away last year. He had a saying. He was like, when all of your options are bad, you become very risk-taking because you have nothing to lose, kind of thing. So whenever you see people participating in get rich quick schemes, you know it's because they feel like all their options are bad. If you believed that if you could go to college and learn, or not go to college, but if you can go learn a skill and go work hard and earn a stable paycheck to provide for your family, 99 out of 100 men are to say, that's the one I want. But if you believe, whether it's true or not, if you believe that that option's not available to you, you're like, let's throw it all on this new coin kind of thing. And so I think you see that quite a bit. There's a lot of things in life where you see people making bad decisions or what you think are bad decisions, and it's easy to mock them or look down upon them or to say they're idiots. But like deep down, there's always a reason that there's a deeper reason why they're doing it. And for a lot of these things with financial risk taking, it's like a lack of, not necessarily a lack of self-esteem, but a lack of self-confidence in their ability to earn a good, dignified, stable wage to provide for their family.
Testosterone plays a role though, no? Because when we think about who becomes gambling addicts and who takes the biggest risks with finances through history, it's often men. Women do seem to be generally better with managing money than men.
Yeah. With men, what a lot of it is the inability to say that's enough, particularly with the risks that they're taking. So you see this with a lot of hedge funds. Hedge funds are just giant investing pools of money of like rich people on Wall Street managing money. They have quite a long history, not lots of them, but quite a long history of them blowing up. And it's because this very smart, genius, billionaire Wall Street trader who has a PhD from MIT could not say that was enough. They kept taking more risk until it blew up. And we definitely see with women managing money that they tend to not earn as high returns on any given year, but they don't blow themselves up, so to speak, financially. So they're like, men are much more willing to swing for the fences. And women are much more willing to say, I'd like to just take a calm, casual swing, but I want to keep it going for a long period of time. Now, who's going to do better over the course of a lifetime in that situation?
Your book profiles a few scenarios of who does better over a lifetime. And although I read your book, I think it must have been 4 years ago, I will always remember reading a story about it. I think it was like a stockbroker that you write about in your book.
His name was Jesse Livermore.
Tell me that story.
Jesse Livermore was a trader, a Wall Street stock trader about 100 years ago. Did most of his work in the early 1900s through about the 1920s. And he was the best in the world at getting rich. And he had no ability whatsoever to stay rich. I think he became the equivalent of a billionaire, adjusted for inflation, 4 separate times and went bankrupt 4 separate times. He eventually, at his end, committed suicide when he went broke for, I think, the 5th time. And in between there, he would become literally the richest man in the world at one point. But he had no ability to say, that's enough. So when he was the richest man in the world, he just kept taking more risk, and then it blew up. And he did it over and over and over and over again until he eventually killed himself.
Damn.
It's amazing. It's an amazing story because punctuated through his story of failure and bankruptcy and eventual suicide is a level of success that like Steve Jobs could not even fathom. No one in history, I think, was better at getting rich than he was. And he could not keep it. And for most people, like a much better situation, of course, is like you don't need to become the richest person in the world. You can just make a modest amount of money that's going to support you and your family, but keep it. Don't keep taking more risks that's eventually going to blow it up. Just keep it and it's okay.
What do you think of crypto?
I don't own any. So maybe that's the summary of how I feel about it. But I also think the only take that I've had on it is like, if you don't think that some of it is inspiring, and then you're not paying attention. But if you don't think that 99% of it is a joke, then you're not paying attention. And I say that because most people are one or the other. They either think the whole thing is a scam and they don't understand any of it. It's a bubble, it's going to burst, or it's literally the greatest invention of human history. And I think whenever there's a new technology, you're likely to get like those extreme, one of those camps. But also in the history of technology, what you would see is that 99% of the new players, the new companies, the new products won't exist in 10 years. And a couple of them will turn into Ford or Microsoft or whatever it might be. That's always been the case. So you can't envision a world in 20 years in which crypto is not having a big part of the global economy. And I also think you cannot envision a world in which in 20 years, 99% of what exists today doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I have owned Ethereum for a long time. And more recently, I just changed it all into Bitcoin because I think Bitcoin is the safest bet. So it seems to be where institutional money has gone to. And I'm doing the same thing as you. I've never like traded coins in my life or anything, but I think most of it is probably going to zero, as we've seen. But I think Bitcoin feels like the place that the market has decided will be the stablest. But
it's not contradictory in history to say that this new technology will change the world forever. And at the same time, you're probably not going to make that much money on it. The best example of that were the railroads, which was probably the most transformational new industry in US history. Like to have a railroad going from the East Coast to the West Coast, that changed everything in such a profound way. And the vast majority of railroad investors lost all their money. So you could get it right. This is going to change the world forever. It does not mean that you're going to make that much money on it. And that's not to say that most crypto investors, no, I would say it's almost certain that most crypto investors will not make that much money. That's pretty standard historical. I mean, the other thing is in cars. In the early 1900s, there were 2,000 car companies in America, and 1,997 of them went bankrupt. You ended up with GM, Ford, and Chrysler. The rest virtually disappeared. So it's always the case that in a new technology that changes in the world, there's a big gap between this is going to change the world and everyone's going to get rich on this.
One of the things that made me question my hypothesis on crypto was Google released this new computer. I don't know if you saw it, called Willow.
The quantum computer that can crack. Or in theory, in the future. I've talked to people about this, that like you can't believe in crypto and quantum at the same time. People who are much smarter than me say that's not the case, that you can augment the system. I don't really understand it, but people who are much smarter than me say they're not worried about it.
Google built a powerful new computer called Willow that uses quantum technology. Some people worry it could one day hack Bitcoin by breaking its security system, but right now Willow isn't strong enough to do that just yet. And they pose that quantum computers may well become strong enough that they'll be able to hack Bitcoin's system that keeps it safe.
Right.
Because there is a certain amount of compute that could affect.
That doesn't exist right now, but could in the future with quantum computers. Right.
So like all assets, I mean, if you look back through history, we've used different things as stores of value.
Yeah.
And many of those things, whether it's the tulips or whatever else, aren't our current store of value. So it's conceivable to think that Bitcoin as a store of value does have a shelf life.
Yes. But of course that could be the case. I mean, gold, which has been, a store of value for thousands of years, has gone through periods where it surged and then fell 90% and sat there for 20 years, kind of thing. So even when you have something that is a historic, very objective store of value, that doesn't mean that you know what the price is going to do next month or next year or even the next 10 years. That's a totally different thing.
When you look at all these people through history that have made money, lost money, et cetera, generated great wealth, are there like certain strategies they've deployed? Because when I think of like Warren Buffett, I'm like, okay, so he like compounded for like 80 years, blah, 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 invested. He was